Shalom and welcome to all my brothers and sisters all around the world. Daniel chapter 9 is without a doubt one of the most difficult chapters, especially if you who are watching come from a Christian background or Messianic background or whatever the case. Daniel chapter 9 is a presentation that is presented a lot of times by Christians who study the scriptures and use Daniel chapter 9 to prove the case for Jesus or Yeshua. This is going to be a brief presentation, but soon I will be making a video presentation of Daniel chapter 9 that is going to be very, very well detailed and a lot longer. But here's the simple understanding of how to understand Daniel chapter 9. Okay? We have to begin, number one, by reading the whole chapter. Now this is a problem that we have within Christian sects, Messianics, and that background, is they begin parachuting down on a verse. For example, verse 27. They begin there, from the going forth of the word, devar. They begin there in that verse, and they go to the end. And they use that to prove that Yeshua or Jesus was supposed to come before the destruction of the second temple. Now there are many problems with Daniel chapter 9, which I'm going to go into full detail in my full presentation. But in this brief presentation, I'm going to simply show you how to understand this and begin to understand this chapter and what it's dealing with. And it's really quite simple. It's not so complicated. Again, the Jews, Israel, we study in context. If you don't study in context carefully, you're going to run into a lot of problems. We have to start from the very beginning. Daniel chapter 9 has many verses. Don't start in verse 27. Begin in verse 1. Let's find out what's going on. It says very clearly in the first verse. The first verse is key. In the first year of Darius the Mede, the Medo-Persian, it's telling you that Persia has just taken over Babylon. Babylon has been taken over. Now, what is the problem here? What is Daniel's problem? Nobody ever reads the beginning of this chapter to find out what's going on. Daniel's very upset. He tells you exactly what the problem is in the very beginning. Okay? So forget about verses 27 and onward. No, let's start from verse 1. It says, you're reading down. He tells you, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, consulted the books concerning the numbers of years that according to the word, devar, not commandment, of Yehovah, that had come to Jeremiah the prophet, were to be the term of Jerusalem's desolation, namely the 70 years. Now, what is he talking about? He's wanting to understand the books of Jeremiah, the prophecies in Jeremiah. These prophecies, now write this down. Jeremiah chapter 25 verse 12 and Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 10. He's trying to understand these verses. Now the problem is here, very simply, again I'm going to do the more detailed video next. He conflates these two passages, conflates them, and thinks that they're supposed to happen side by side. The destruction of Babylon and the return to rebuild Jerusalem and the temple. Now let's read his own words. So we're going to start in verse 3. I turned my face to Yehovah Elohim. Now it means he's starting to pray to God. Okay? Devoting myself to prayer and supplication and fasting and sackcloth and ashes. I pray to Yehovah my Elohim, making confession. And this is what he says. Now carefully. Listen carefully. Okay? O Yehovah, great and awesome God, who stays faithful to his covenant with those who love him and keep his commandments. We have sinned, we have gone astray, we have acted wickedly, we have been rebellious, and have deviated from your commandments and your rules. We have not obeyed your servants, the prophets, who spoke in your name to our kings, our officers, our fathers, and all the peoples of the land. With you, O Yehovah, is the right and is the shame on all of us to this very day, on the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, all of Israel, near and far, in all the lands where you have banished them, for the trespass they committed against you. The shame, O Yehovah, is on us, on our kings and our officers and our fathers, because we have sinned against you To Yehovah our Elohim belong mercy and forgiveness, for we have rebelled against him. We did not obey Yehovah our Elohim by following his teachings he set before us through his servants, the prophets. All Israel has violated your Torah and gone astray, disobeying you. So the curse and the oath written in the teaching of Moses, the servant of Elohim, has been poured upon us. This is the curses in Leviticus. The curses of Leviticus, where he says, if you do not follow my Torah, keep my commandments, it will be 7 times the punishment. So this is what the problem is. His focus is on, oh my God, we have sinned against you, and now the curses have come upon us. That is the focus. Okay? Now, if we read on, you can read it for yourself. Just keep reading the verses in context. Read in context. Okay? Hence, Yehovah was intent upon bringing calamity upon us. For Yehovah, our God, is in verse 14, is in the right, and all that he has done, we have not obeyed him. Now, here we go. Here's the point. Here's the point. Now, O Yehovah, our God, you who brought your people out of the land of Egypt with a mighty hand and winning fame for yourself, to this very day we have sinned, we have acted wickedly. O Yehovah, as befits your abundant benevolence, let your wrathful fury turn back from your city, Jerusalem. That's the focus. Not the Messiah, the city of Jerusalem. Your holy mountain. That's the focus. The mountain of Yehovah. For because of our sins and our iniquities of our fathers, Jerusalem and your people have become a mockery among all those around us. O our Elohim, hear now the prayer of your servant and his plea. Show your favor to your desolate sanctuary, the temple. The temple. For Yehovah's sake, for your sake, he's saying, God, please look upon your city and the Temple Mount. It's a disaster. If you read on, he's begging God for forgiveness. That's what he's upset about. He sees that the Persians have taken over Babylon, which he misunderstands in Jeremiah chapter 25 verse 12 and 29 verse 10, putting them together, saying after the destruction of Babylon, they will go right to Jerusalem and rebuild. But that was not happening. So he was freaking out, going, oh my God, we are suffering the curses. The curses in the Torah that said if we were not loyal to keep his Torah, that we would have the curses upon us 7 times fold. That means we would be 7 times the length of years in Babylon. That's the point. But I want you to focus in on what is he asking Elohim? What is he praying for? What is he asking God? And most importantly, what is he not asking? He's not asking him, God, when is the Messiah going to come? When is the Messiah going to die? Can you tell me? I'd like to know. When the Messiah is going to come, when's he going to die? Daniel doesn't care. He's not asking about that. He's focused on returning to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. Now, I'm going to go into more details in my next video, which will be much longer. But here's another issue. In a Christian Bible, any Christian Bible, after Daniel, it doesn't follow with the book of Ezra. Now, every Jewish Hebrew scriptures, Tanakh, which was preserved by the Jews, continues with the book of Ezra. The book of Ezra is the book, the scroll, that comes after Daniel. Now let me show you why the church moved Ezra. And look at it for yourself. Open up a Christian Bible if you have one, and look what follows Daniel. It's not Ezra. You want to know why? Here's the answer. Look at what the first chapter of Ezra says. Now, the Jews have always understood the real translation. If you look at any Jewish scriptures, the Hebrew scriptures, the Tanakh, it says very clearly there, unanointed one shall be cut off. Okay? There are 2 anointed ones. The first one is Cyrus. Now people go, Cyrus? What are you talking about? No, it's talking about the Messiah. No, it's not. Mashiach is the Hebrew word there. It does not say Ha-Mashiach, the anointed, or how the Christian Bible mistranslated the Messiah, capital M. It does not say Ha-Mashiach, which means the anointed. It's unanointed one. And this is who it is. Ezra chapter 1, this is why the church moved this book way to the beginning of the scripture. In the first year of King Cyrus, again, compare this also, write this down, Ezra chapter 1, verses 1 through 5, and then read Isaiah 45, verse 1. It tells you, God himself says, Cyrus is my anointed, my Mashiach. Yes, Cyrus is the anointed of God, chosen to give the decree. Let's see what he says. In the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, when the word Devar of Yehovah, spoken by Jeremiah, was fulfilled, Yehovah aroused the spirit of King Cyrus of Persia to issue the proclamation throughout his realm. This is what he says, verse 2. Thus said King Cyrus of Persia, Yehovah, Elohim of the heaven, has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, has charged me with the building him a house in Jerusalem. That's the temple. And with me, with the building of him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Very clear. This is why in a Christian Bible, Ezra does not follow Daniel. The church didn't like this. So Ezra gets buried way in the beginning of a Christian Bible. There are many, many other problems with the misreading. Again, we have to ask ourselves, have we read Daniel chapter 9 from the beginning? The answer is no. Read it from the beginning. Ask yourself, what is Daniel upset about? What is he praying for? What is the focus of his prayer? And another question, what is he not praying for? What is he not asking God? This is the difference between how Jews study the word every day in context, carefully, and those who, it's not their fault. Many of them, it's not their fault. This is how they were taught to study. Cherry picking, parachuting. We don't do this. We study every day clearly in context. Because if you don't, you're going to get in trouble. You can create your own cults, create your own theologies, and that's exactly what happened. This is what we do, study carefully. So stay tuned. Very soon, I will be making a Daniel chapter 9 presentation with much, much more information and historical background as to exactly what the church did. If you're looking at Daniel chapter 9 in a Christian Bible, any Christian Bible, you are looking at a complete perversion of the Hebrew text. I'm sorry it's such a strong word, but it's true. You are looking at what the church did. They literally molested Daniel chapter 9. You are looking at a theological crime scene in a Christian Bible when you're looking at Daniel chapter 9. And I will show you further what I mean by that in the next presentation of Daniel chapter 9. Shalom and take care, everyone.